Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. We're going to have comic books today. We're going to have, we kind of have to, right? Because the title is Hoarder's Comic Flex. Otherwise, I would just be Hoarders lying to you. So, we have to have comics. That has to be part of it. We already had the Flex. We had that at the beginning. So we're going to have some comic book reviews. We're actually going to have two again today. We're going to start with one. Our first one is Dick Tracy #1, right there. And if you'd like a better view of that cover, I think I can make that happen right there. That's a different cover, actually. That's with, I believe, Flat Top is his name. And, yes. Hey, Crinky, how you doing? I ended up going with this cover because I liked that it showed like a close-up of Dick Tracy. Now, it's very cool if you're a fan of the character Dick Tracy. Think of that. Think hard-boiled. Think like 1930s cop type of thing. But then also think incredibly violent and bloody because it's modernized. And what happens is Tess Trueheart's father, I believe was the mayor, was it? He gets killed in a gangland massacre. Like everyone in this bar dead. Okay? Brutally. And basically Dick Tracy is on the case, and that's where he meets Tess. And in the original version of Dick Tracy, like the comics, even in the movie and everything, Tess is like a love interest eventually. And basically Tess and Dick Tracy are trying to find out who put the hit out on her father. And he's kind of like a hotshot cop. I guess basically he was one of the youngest in the academy, and he was like a war hero type. And you get to meet Mumbles, which is one of the Dick Tracy villains. And also, of course, Flat Top there. Again, I believe that is his name. I'm not sure who the big bad is. I don't know if it's the same one from the movie, because the way he's visually depicted, I'm honestly not sure. I don't know. But it could be the same character from the film. I don't know. But it's very good. If you're a fan of the hard-boiled detective stuff, like the Bacall and Bogart type of thing. I highly recommend it. I was very happy with it. I'll definitely get issue 2. Um, the only thing I would maybe think about is rather than getting issue 2 specifically, I might just wait for the trade, but I really do like it, and I will do one of those two things. It's hard to say exactly. I can't tell how fast the story is going to move, or if it's actually a mini series or an ongoing. And part of that has to do with sales too, right? Sometimes it could be a mini series that becomes an ongoing. It's hard to say. Also, it's Mad Cave, and even though the company is celebrating their 10th year, a number of stores don't even just normally carry Mad Cave comics. So you might actually have to request it specifically at your shop. Oh yeah, the Dick Tracy film that came out was just one of the most visually arresting things I've seen in a long time. I watched it about I think 5 years ago, and it's still very visually impressive. And it's an insane cast. Like so many great actors are in that film. It's completely mad. Uh, Dustin Hoffman, of course, Warren Beatty. Oh my God, there's so many. I'm trying to think. Al Pacino. There were some that are just kind of wild that you're not expecting them to be in it. But yeah, it's a who's who of great actors, and most of them, oddly enough, and this was what some of the critics had an issue with, is most of them are in like latex makeup, so they don't like look anything like they usually do. But that's his rogues gallery, and Dick Tracy to me is one of the best rogues gallery of villains. I'd compare it to like Spider-Man or Batman's rogues gallery. It's a very strong one. But Dick Tracy #1, that is our first review. And from there, we're going to talk about video games. And this will not be a surprise to most of you. We're going to start with Diablo 4. Because what was important today, or actually I think it was yesterday, it was reiterated by Blizzard devs that Season 4 of Diablo 4 will launch on the end date of Season 3. So that's May 14th. Tuesday, May 14th is the end of Season 3 and the beginning of Season 4. And there are massive expectations for Season 4. It is a entirely like reworked itemization system. They reworked the way gems work. It's very exciting. And like when I say, redid itemization in like every capacity, in like every way. And now you can like temper weapons, I think up to 12 levels, and it's going to be nuts. It's kind of similar to like the level of granularity that you have, I think, like in Destiny when you're taking a weapon and upgrading it now. So it's going to be very cool to see that in Diablo 4. And my guess, they'll do a big campfire chat talking about the season theme and like the season play mechanics and even like the season story, probably on May 1st or May 8th. They like to do the campfire chats on Wednesdays. And if the 14th is the start of the new season, that only leaves them with like May 1st or May 8th, unless they surprise us and they're like, it's Friday this week or something. Like, either they're going to go like 1 or 2 weeks in advance. So, but everyone's so hyped about it. Like people that did the test server and all that to try some of this stuff out ahead of time, really thrilled. And Season 4 will probably be the best season, which is impressive to me because Season 2 was great. Season 2 altered the Helltide into something that you could enjoy, fighting tons of vampires and stuff. And I think you were even able to do it at Tier 2. I don't think you had to wait till Tier 3 or Tier 4 like a Helltide. And then it introduced vampiric powers. That was awesome. The Season of Blood. That was Season 2. Season 3 is the Season of a Construct. You have like a mechanical spider type thing, and you put in like these special like stones that control it magically. It's not a bad season, okay? But it is probably my least favorite of the 3 seasons so far. And part of it had to do like with when it launched, they had some weird decisions that they made. So people are really excited though for Season 4. And they actually had enough time, like a month in advance after that test server, to actually make changes based on what players have said. So that's a really great sign too. Okay, now we are looking at two big games that come out this week. They both come out on Friday. Stellar Blade has an 82 Metacritic, which is a very good number. And Sandland has a 72. Not quite as good as Stellar Blade, but still, you know, a pretty decent number. Yeah, Stellar Blade has gotten a lot of 8s, a number of 9s. I think like one of the worst reviews I saw was a 7 out of 10. So that should be pretty awesome. I've done the demo 3 times. I think it's very cool. I love the combat. I love the science fiction elements of it. And yes, I know the young people out there are going to be the cake as part of it. But like, I really think it's a cool game, and I think it handles things really well. I did hear, however, from a number of reviews that the side missions are disappointing, and they involve you going back to areas you've been through, and there's almost no changes to those areas. So it's not like where you backtrack in other games and like there's some new enemies that show up, or like, you know, like maybe there's a landslide and now you have to go a different path, something like that. Like I think God of War games do things like that. Yeah, otherwise it sounds like the combat's really good. It sounds like if you really want to get into the combat, you can. There are like at least 30 outfits for Eve, and some are actually modest. So you don't have to have something that's going to be extremely like sexual that Eve is going to wear. And you basically just unlock those playing the game. You don't have to buy those skins. So that's kind of a nice thing too. Okay. Now, but Sandland, what they were saying in the reviews, it sounds like it's going to be really neat. But like, they were disappointed by the conventions of RPGs and not being that drastically different. But then in the same breath, they're like, hey, you have these awesome vehicles you can constantly upgrade, and that changes things up. And there's actual stealth too. There's like almost no stealth in the demo. There's not much in the demo. Apparently that demo was kind of a mistake and may have affected sales negatively for Sandland. I played the demo. I thought it was fun for what it was. I was able to find a number of dungeons and kind of explore them. They were small. There were a few enemies here and there. And then we found a huge dungeon, which I'm guessing is a main one, but there was a number of areas we couldn't get to. And apparently there's something called a jump bot that we don't have. As you might guess, it jumps very high. And yesterday I was trying to use a number of the different mechs and vehicles, and nothing was able to jump quite as high as I needed. Because I didn't have a jump bot, apparently. Okay. I'm actually going to be streaming Stellar Blade starting Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a cool experience. And, yeah. Okay. Now, this is where things get kind of amusing. Okay? The Embracer Company, which has not got a lot of excellent press recently from either fans or like investors and, you know, the whole like Forbes type of world. Basically, they changed their name to 3 different names. And I kid you not, 2 of these are not made up. Now, instead of Embracer, there are 3 companies. First one is Asmodee, which they believe basically is a name that the banks love, whatever that means. The head of Embracer said it. I don't know. But then this is where we get wild. The other 2 companies are, okay, get ready for it. Okay. Coffee Stain and Friends. Coffee Stain and Friends. And Middle Earth and Friends. And let me tell you, if your business has the word friend or friends in it, it lets me think you're more of a fiend. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. If you're saying that you're my friend and you're a company, I see that more as a fiend. It's just, it seems, it's like a whole situation of like, oh, you're really trying to sell this one image, but your actions completely don't show that. So you're a friend to who exactly? You know? So, but I thought those names were hilarious, and I thought it was like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, really? That's the names they went with? And our final gaming news this week, on Monday, I believe it was, we got to see Metaphor ReFantazio. If you're a fan of the Persona games, this is something to really be excited about. The date is released now, October 11th, is Metaphor ReFantazio. Okay, massive role-playing game, fantasy-based. Now, there could be a modern world part to the game, but it sounds like that's the fantasy that these characters are having while they're actually in a medieval type of world. Okay, now there's some really interesting things this game stresses that, like Persona and other games in that series do not, work the same way. So basically, the game wants to respect players' time and allows you to bypass most encounters if you want. And I'm not sure how that affects leveling up. That they did not say. But they show you going past all these enemies, and I'll tell you in a moment how you do that. It's pretty great. Stealth is meant to be a huge element in this game. There are gigantic enemies that are moving around, and you want to try to avoid them if you're not ready for them. There's smaller enemies that come out in herds, and you hit them with 1 or 2 hits and they're dead. So a lot of the combat is like just 1 or 2 hits and you're moving again. Not everything is going to be, kind of like it pauses, shows the enemy and goes turn-based. That's not what combat is in this game. It's kind of interesting. That does exist, but it's the big, giant, lumbering enemies that you see. Okay. It has a beautiful UI, and it's definitely reminiscent of the Persona games. And they said that is a real strong suit for theirs, and I totally agree. I don't think anyone who's seen their the UI that they have in their games would be like, no, that's not a big thing. Okay, there's a number of games that wish they could have that UI. Okay, there's also many optional dungeons and quests, and this is where it gets interesting. I said how you avoid those enemies with stealth. You jump onto your sword, okay, and you ride it like a hoverboard. And you can ride it through cities, through dungeons, to quickly get you through areas. And I was like, that's really wild, Like, that's not a crazy idea, but it's something I've not seen before. So, yeah, there's that. And then the story of the game, though, is the king is killed, a magic is unleashed into the world, and that magic will choose a successor to the throne. And in something that's like a cross between Hunger Games and American Idol, you are trying to increase your popularity, basically so the magic chooses you over everyone else in this world to be the successor to the throne. Okay? And the journey is a huge part of the story. That's like massive. Now, in the Persona games, during the day you go to high school. You're in a high school, and then at night you're doing things like playing in an arcade or a batting cage or something like that. Or going into dungeons that are in like people's minds. Here, basically, you're going on a giant journey all over the world to increase your popularity and like do these amazing feats, like defeating these monstrous enemies and things like that, that will in turn again increase your popularity. So it's a very interesting concept, I think, compared to something like Persona. Okay, now this is where things get interesting. Enemy monsters are called humans. So expect something crazy. Expect some insane twist in this game. The enemy monsters are humans. And like I said, our world, modern day, is what they consider their fantasy. And the idea is what is real, what is fantasy. And you have a vehicle called the Gauntlet Runner, and that's how you get across the world. And it's magically powered, and it's also a mobile base. And it takes you through wastelands to battlefields. The wasteland is basically the world outside of like castles and things like that. A very dangerous place where these human monsters are. So I fully expect some interesting twists and turns. I'm very much looking forward to it. Again, it comes out October 11th, Metaphor Re Fantasio. And to me, it sounds Metaphor Re Fantastico. Okay, next up, we are going to toy around. Although we really don't have that many toys this week, unfortunately. When there's a toy that comes out, I just don't show it to show it. It's usually something I have an interest in, or I think you might have an interest in, and that's what I like to show, especially if it's a one that hasn't been released yet. So first up, we're going to start with something you'll probably want to see. One of the first toys from a big movie coming out in July. Deadpool from Deadpool and Wolverine Funko Pop. So the pre-orders are live for this. It's between $11 and $12, depending on where you're pre-ordering from. And this is the first Deadpool pop for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, it's actually been said that is what it is, Deadpool and Wolverine, but the packaging just says Deadpool because they didn't know what the title was when the packaging was made, and like 6 months to a year is usually what the lead time is for something like this as a toy. So, but that's Deadpool right there. And of course, the movie is Deadpool and Wolverine. So who else do you have to have available? Wolverine. And everybody take a look. That's Hugh Jackman in the hood. Or whatever you want to call that. The mask, the helmet, whatever you want to say that is. The cowl, I guess. There he is. So, I would say it's a pretty good indicator that at some point in the movie he wears it. Might be brief, but I believe you'll be getting that at some point in the movie. So, I think fans will be happy about that. But yeah, this one again, like $11 or $12, depending on where you pre-order it. I like these two. I'll probably end up getting these myself. I haven't picked up a Funko Pop in a long time. I pre-ordered months ago the What We Do in the Shadows Funko Pops, because I absolutely love that show. And like, they don't have figures or anything. That's all they have is like Funko Pops. Okay. And finally, again, like I said, there's not a lot of toying around this week. Joker, and wait for it, Punchline. This is the first McFarlane Toys Punchline action figure. Okay? And it comes with a reissued Joker. So some people are disappointed because they already have the Joker. If you don't have this version of like the James Tynion style, James Tynion the Fourth style of the Joker, then here you go. That's awesome. Plus, there's Punchline. So, as a collector, you've been probably waiting for a Punchline figure in the 7-inch range for McFarlane DC Multiverse. And I think she looks really good. I think they did a good job on her. And I do like that take on the Joker as well. So, because the Joker is a reissue, this 2-pack is going for $39.99. Now, keep in mind, these figures usually go between $19.99 and $24.99 a piece. So, the pricing's good. The pricing is normally what it, should be for like a 2-pack from McFarlane Toys. So, I really do like that Punchline figure, though. I think a lot of people will be getting this 2-pack for that. I don't know of any plans of them doing a single punchline. If I were to guess, they'll do a collector's edition with some different colorization or a slightly different outfit, and that'll be like $30 with some other extras, but that isn't going to be exactly this figure. So that could happen. They seem to really like to do the collector ones, and some of those are only available from like McFarlane Toys themselves. So okay. And everybody, we are done toying around. There, like I said, there just wasn't that much that was that exciting. And I love like hot toys, but I don't want to constantly show hot toys when I do this, you know? Constantly showing toys that are in the 250, 280 range. It's like, I think it depresses me more than anyone. Okay, everybody. Now we are going to look at the future of comic books. The future all the way to 1 week from today. Okay, and first up we have Blood Hunt 1. Vampires versus Marvel Heroes, I believe a 5-issue miniseries, and it gets crazier though. It goes into a nutty crossover which has like limited series for a number of characters and, you know, fighting vampires, but this is the main one you need. This is the main one. And what's exciting about this is, see where it says appropriate audiences? This is what's called a red label version of the comic. So this is like the R-rated, bloodier, gorier version of the comic book. And it's going to be polybagged. So I thought that was really cool they were doing that. It's kind of like something I think almost like a Grindhouse movie, or more recently the red label trailers for movies have gotten popular, like with things like Deadpool and stuff like that. But that's only really been, I'd say, in the last 5 years or so. But yeah, I really like this. Jed MacKay is one of my favorite writers, doing an excellent job on Vengeance of the Moon Knight and just about anything he writes for Marvel. But yeah, Blood Hunt 1 is next week. Next up we have Get Fury, #1. So this takes place in the jungle in 1971. And basically, Nicholas Fury is being hunted. And they pick the ultimate hunter, Frank Castle, to find him. Get Fury, #1. This is also written by Garth Ennis, who for a very long time wrote Punisher. For all I know, he even wrote Nick Fury. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, this could be a very wild, very over-the-top, violent, crazy-ass book. Okay? Get Fury. Let's see. I think we just have like 2 more. Oh, there we go. Next up, we have Superman House of Brainiac. Wait for it, okay? This is part 2.5. I don't know exactly how that works. If there were some elements that had to be retconned, or I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I don't know. I'm not sure. It just seems weird to me that it's 2.5. But it's supposed to give us insight on a number of things, including how Brainiac found out about the Zarnians and everything else like that. That comes out also next week. And finally, everybody, Space Ghost, being written by David Pepose. And you will be able to purchase this at your comic stores coast to coast. You probably see what I did there. Probably somewhat embarrassing, I know, but oh well. Okay, so you get Jan, you get Jace, you get the little Monkey Blip. They're in here somehow. And basically, it's a world of like space pirates and raiders, and this person that some people think is a former like police officer, an actual ghost, an avenging spirit type thing, space ghost. So be able to see David Papose's take on this next week. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I follow Mr. Papose on Twitter, so I've known about this for like months. So yeah, I think this would be a really cool book, and I'm very interested to see what he does with it. And that, everybody, that's the future of comic books, all the way to 1 week from today. Now, finally, we are going to end with a comic book review for... First off, great cover. Great cover. I do think their prices are a little extreme. I'll explain that. First off, this is like more of like a full-on magazine, not an actual comic book type of thing. And it's glossy paper. It's a glossy cover. Distillery is releasing all their books like this, and I want to say it's 48 pages. This awesome cover actually is by Jenny Frison. She does some great work. And wow, this book is crazy. I think I might have this cover, or I have a different cover I can show everyone too on the main screen here. There we go. Yeah, Spectrograph 1. I like that cover too. That's a insanely creepy cover. So yeah, the reason it looks like that's the front and back opened. So now I understand why it's a big rectangle like that when they were showing their covers. Okay, so in 1967, what seems like a satanic cult in a mansion doing a ritual is interrupted by someone that says, "This is all just bullshit. None of this is real, but it should be." Cut to 2024. This house is up for sale, and a young woman by the name of Janie has been chosen to actually go and show the new owner of the house around, or actually the prospective buyer, I guess you could say. Janie apparently is a bit addle-brained. I don't want to say donkey brained, because that's the thing from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But somehow she leaves her toddler at home in his toddler chair and just goes on this journey to this house in the far end of Malibu and leaves the kid at home. And then basically begs her best friend, who's also at work, to see if she can go and pick the kid up. But, like, neither of them want to do that. So you get an idea where Janie's priorities lie. Although her thought is like, hey, if I can sell this house, it's a massive commission, and, you know, then I'll pay for the kid's therapy bills later. Janie gets to the house, and I swear to you, the prospective buyers are there looking like the unconventional conventionists from Rocky Horror Picture Show. So figure like goth, you know, Victorian age, all of that, and also under umbrellas in the sun. This nice looking goth, maybe punk woman who's on the cover here, her name is Vesper. She is definitely the most normal of this group, and she is there to like work with and talk to Janie about and look at the house. Janie is coming with the key to the house. Apparently, the only way to enter the house is with said key. And the key is like a mechanical device, and we find out that the entire house is a machine as well. And if they are to buy the house, they need to have a series of like machinists and like clockmakers or something that are going to be able to stop them from getting locked in it. It's crazy. So they're looking around this creepy house. Something is trailing them in the shadows, and like basically there's this whole thing of like about like goths and stuff like that, and how Janie had a goth period in high school, and Vesper being friendly, but also somewhat, I don't know what you would say exactly, mysterious. She's being mysterious. And they're looking around, and we find this one room, and like, yes, to open doors and stuff, it's like this series of like machinations, like all these things that have to be turned and twisted and stuff like that. They find this crazy looking room which has a window, and the window, you can't see out of it. It looks almost like a magnifying glass type of thing. And all of a sudden, Vesper hits Janie in the back of the head, and Janie comes to, and basically she's like, "What was that for?" And Vesper's like, "I'm sorry. I thought you'd be out longer." And there's this crazy bright white light. Okay? And she like pushes Janie out of the way. And like actually like she cares about her, you know, like she wasn't like trying to hit her and kill her. She apparently needed to knock her down to do some sort of wild ritual that I guess no one else can see. So she pushes her out of the way, but this like crazy force of light hits her, and then it shows her, but then it separates her, showing her screaming and without skin for like 2 pages. And then we're back to normal again. Or as normal as we can be. And she was like saying, "I'm sorry, I had to knock you out like that," and everything. And like on the other side of all this, the people outside, the unconventional conventionist looking people, they're talking about how the master's about to arrive at the house. And it could be the same person from 1967, is the vibe I'm getting. It's creepy, it's weird, I liked it a lot. The artwork is excellent. It's Christian Ward doing the art and James Tinian IV, my good man, writing it. Spectrograph. Now, the price is extreme, but again, it's like an actual like high quality glossy book. You know, it's like really well done. So Distillery, they're charged, which is spelled what? DSTL RY. It's like an abbreviation, Distillery. You can see it like right there. Yeah, there we go. They're charging $9 for their books, but I do believe it's 48 pages. I'd have to count it, but I want to say it's 48 pages. And again, glossy covers, glossy paper. They went all out with the quality level of their books. So it'll be interesting to see how that catches on. I think they wanted to go for a visual type of feel you get when you pick up like a vinyl, an LP, and you see that big like gatefold artwork and stuff like that. I think that was kind of their idea with Distillery. Okay, everybody. So we reviewed Dick Tracy #1 and Spectrograph #1 as well. We talked about games, looked at the very near future of comic books. We even toyed around. We did all of that this week. I want to thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And yeah, if you like it, tell other people. I never harp and preach about like the subbing, following, and all that and stuff. I don't believe you know, if it's quality content, I don't believe you should have to do that. Maybe that's naive of me, you know. But I hope you like this show. And next week we'll have another episode. If you're incredibly like, hey, there's nothing going on, I've got nothing at all going on with the time of day or week or whatever it is, and you're just bored out of your mind, you can always watch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/HoarderGamer, and you might even be more bored after that. No, but seriously, I'll be doing a lot of Diablo 4. Stellar Blade starting Friday. I do want to stream Sandland, but I don't know as to when I would start that. Also, a game that looks adorable comes out tomorrow that I just wanted to bring up briefly. One Crab's Treasure. A hermit crab named Krill loses his shell and goes on an insane quest to find it in a colorful and fun-loving, kind of like Souls-like experience. So, yeah, I'm hoping to convince Xbox Live Mike for Games on a Plane tomorrow to play that one. I think it's going to be really good, and it's on Game Pass. One Crab's Treasure is on Game Pass. Okay, everybody, thank you very much, and I hope you have an excellent week. Thank you. Bye-bye.